What's going on, everyone? So welcome to my latest video. If you're new to the channel, I've done Best Picture nominee ranking videos in the past. I've done 1980 all the way to 2023. So naturally, when the 2024 Academy Award Best Picture nominees were announced, I knew that I had to rank them. The problem was when they were announced, I had only seen 8 out of 10 of them. So I still had to watch I'm Still Here as well as Nickel Boys. And I finally watched both of those two. And as of filming this video, February 13th of 2025, I've seen all the nominees, so I'm able to give you guys this video, which you clicked on, so you know it. I'm doing my 2024 Academy Award Best Picture nominees ranked worst to best video. And I'm joined by someone special today. That's right, someone I've collaborated with before in the past, and that's Gal of Film Toppings. He's someone that I greatly respect. I really enjoy his Instagram content that he produces, as well as, of course, his YouTube videos and his funny Letterboxd reviews. So be sure to follow him on all those platforms. But the way this video is going to work is this. He is going to give his number 10 to 6. Then what will happen is I'll give my 10 to 6. He'll then give us 5 to 1. And then I'll give my 5 to 1 and wrap things up. And it goes without saying, but I know I have to say this in pretty much every video now. This video is not objective. At the end of the day, film as an art form is subjective, meaning that your list will be different from mine. And that's what's great about film. It's what I love, truly. So I'm looking forward to seeing what your ranking is going to look like for this, because this is a year where it's been kind of crazy, specifically with the nominees. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what your ranking is going to look like in the comment section down below. But without further ado, take it away.
Hey Chad and Chad Subordinates followers, I'm Balaban from Film Toppings, and I'm really excited to be joining this video to rank the 10 films nominated for Best Picture at the 97th Oscars. Let's start us off with number 10, A Complete Unknown. This was easy to pick as my least favorite of this year's Best Picture nominees, but it's still a damn good movie. I really loved the first half. I think the first half is fantastic. Later on, I have some gripes with it. The story slows down. It gets caught up in a few too many big folk scenes, but it ends really well. And in the week since I've seen it and now I'm recording this, the more I thought back at it, the more I liked it. Great direction from James Mangold. Timothée Chalamet, his dedication into becoming Bob Dylan, his voice. Monica Barbaro also as Joan Baez blew me away and made me want to discover more of both Bob Dylan and Joan Baez's music. Number 9, The Substance. Okay, everything from here to number 1 I absolutely love. This is one of the most unique horror movies of the last couple of years. Demi Moore making like the best comeback performance I can think of. Margaret Qualley is wonderful. The direction, it does lose me a bit in the last 10 minutes. It gets a little too silly for my taste, but everything before, it's so wild and fun, and yeah, all I can say is it's a really great, examination of the systemic misogyny that has plagued, the entertainment industry for so long, while being a really interesting character piece and just a really great time. Number 8 is gonna be Wicked. Yeah, the way this movie really captured me, I really wasn't expecting it. I kind of just went to this movie in theaters because literally everyone was, and all the Gladiator Wicked memes, I kind of just went because it was such a big cultural event, but it ended up just blowing me away. The musical numbers are some of the best I can remember from recent musicals. The direction, the set design is so intricate, the costumes. Number 7 is I'm Still Here, a movie that wasn't on many people's radars until Fernanda Torres won the Golden Globe, and then the movie surprisingly got a Best Picture nomination out of nowhere in a way, because not many people had seen or heard of it. And I'm here to report that this movie is worth all the praise. It's a really devastating and difficult movie. Fernanda Torres brings so much soul to the film. I absolutely loved her in it, but the movie and the story are really captivating. It's a movie that's very personal yet political. It's quiet yet ferocious. It's devastating yet enduring, and really leaves you with a lot to think about. Number 6, Conclave. Edward Berger has done it again. I love this guy's directing, and he's already coming out with another movie after this later in the year. And Ralph Fiennes giving one of his best ever performances. Stanley Tucci, John Lithgow, Isabella Rossellini, all great. I feel like one of the big reasons that Conclave has resonated culturally is the political implications and I feel like one of the reasons that Conclave has resonated culturally is it goes to show that, like, wherever you are in situations of power and community like this, people are always selfish, throwing each other under the bus, hungry for power, and it's made in a really entertaining but thoughtful and patient and brilliant way. Yeah, not many negative things to say about Conclave. That is my 10 through 6 and my best picture ranking. Back to you, Chad.
All right, so now kicking things off with my number 10. This is going to be controversial, I know, but honestly, this whole list of mine is going to be controversial with the ranking. But my number 10, we have Wicked. Yeah, I didn't like Wicked. I gave it a second chance. I saw it once in theaters, and I thought it was kind of middle of the road. And then I saw it a second time with my wife at home, and I liked it a lot less. In fact, I thought it was disappointing. Didn't like the cinematography. It looks way too digital for my liking, and just the color grading, the lighting, just really is not appealing in the slightest. And same goes with the visual effects. I'm not a big fan of these elements. I also think that the length can greatly be felt. It's a film that feels like 4 hours, even though it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I truly believe that this is a movie that could have been told in like 90 minutes or so. So just a lot of fat on this movie. And honestly, again, I understand why so many people love this movie. And I've heard so many people say that part 2 will recontextualize things. And I'm hoping that that's the case. But as a movie on its own, Wicked, I'm just not a big fan of and found it quite disappointing. And that's why I have it as my number 10. Next up, my number 9, we have A Complete Unknown. I got to see an early screening of this, and honestly, I thought it was okay. It's pretty much a 2 hour and 20 minute Bob Dylan concert movie, and if that's what you want, you'll enjoy this movie for sure. But if you actually want a good story that's told, if you want really interesting characters, honestly, this probably won't be the movie for you. Everything just feels very much so diluted down to its basic form. It feels very formulaic, unfortunately. And can I see the appeal for this movie? Sure, I definitely can. For me, I just thought it was okay. That's why I have it as my number 9. Next up, my number 8, this is going to be another hot take in regards to placement. My number 8 is Anora. This recently won at the PGA DGA Awards, and it could win Best Picture. I could see it winning Best Picture, especially, winning those precursors. Would I want it to win? Not really. I think it's a good film. I like Sean Baker quite a bit. I think The Florida Project was great. I think Tangerine was pretty good. And Red Rocket is my favorite of his. I think Red Rocket is great. And I own it on Blu-ray, actually. It's a really funny film, but at the same time has a really, really good story. And the drama also is quite effective. So I love Red Rocket. But watching Anora, it was interesting because I like the opening scene quite a bit, and I think the second act is easily the best act of the film. And it's one of the rare instances where the second act is the best act of a film. And I like the ending too. But as a whole, I thought it was too long, honestly. And that's kind of a shame because it makes me not really want to revisit the film. Like, a lot of these films I've seen multiple times. But Anora, I just haven't really thought about rewatching. Maybe that will change over time. Maybe my, thoughts on this film will increase. But as it stands, I think it's a good film for sure. But it's not one that I think is amazing per se, the way that a lot of people do. But still, I respect people loving this film, and I'm glad that it is a film that's about, sex work, and it's, normalizing it. I think it's important. So I do respect that. And yeah, Anora's my number 8. Next up, my number 7, we have I'm Still Here. This is a film that I wasn't expecting it to get a Best Picture nomination, honestly. I really wasn't. I wanted to check it out for sure, but I was even more so surprised when it was announced during the Academy Award nominations. But after watching it, I'm glad that it was nominated because it is a good film. It's a very important film too, and I think that the way it feels structurally is really good. Like, you can't help but watch it and feel as if it's very realistic. It's a docudrama that has a really good lead performance, great cinematography, a lot of symbolism, and at the same time, just an ending that's very impactful. I do think the second act of this film, whilst I understand its intention, and I definitely think that it's good, it was something that, in terms of pacing, it did hamper it just a little bit because I wasn't really invested during that second act as much. But intellectually speaking, I understand why it's there, and I do think it's important. And who knows, maybe I'll rewatch, I'll like that second act even more. But as it stands, I think this film was quite good, and that's why I have it as my number 7. Next up, my number 6. This is going to be controversial, I know, but you know what? It is what it is. This is my video. My number 6, we have Emilia Perez. Yeah, I like Emilia Perez. Yeah, I have it higher than Wicked. Sue me. I know that this film has quite a lot of hate, specifically on Rotten Tomatoes, Letterboxd, IMDb, Metacritic. Sure, all of those things. But you know something? I like the film. I'm able to separate the art from the artist. And I think as a film, it is quite good. I've seen it 3 times now. Yeah, that's right. 3 times. And you know what? If I knew someone that hasn't seen this film, I would watch it a 4th time in a heartbeat. I like this film quite a bit. I think that not only is it entertaining, but I think it's really well acted. I think Zoe Saldana in particular is just fantastic. Love the blending of genres. I like the musical numbers quite a bit. There's only one musical number that I didn't like, and that's by the the kid in the movie. The song where he's on the bed and everything, and he's just like singing. I'm not a fan of it. Every single time I've seen it, that's the one scene where I'm like, okay, I can kind of see the hate. But everything else, I like it. I think it flows really nicely, and I think that it leads to an ending that definitely surprised me the first time, and is why I wanted to watch it a second time. And now I just look at it as an entertaining film that, you know, it got me to think all 3 times. And I think that that's something that is important. Yes, I understand that this is a film that many people hate, but you know something? It got you talking, and at the end of the day, that's what I love about films. I love where it starts conversation. It starts discourse. It's important. It's what keeps things around in regards to art forms, and now more than ever, it's needed. So, yeah, Emilia Perez, I like it quite a bit, and yeah, that's why I have it as my number 6. But all right, Gal, take it away with giving your 5 to 1.
At number 5 is Nickel Boys, a really stylistically breathtaking movie that gets you attached to its characters in a really innovative mode of cinematography and filmmaking, and really, really resonated with me emotionally after I watched it. I'm really glad that this is one of the films nominated for Best Picture this year. I think it's one of the best movies of the year. It tells a story from a unique perspective that leaves a lot of thought, both from a filmmaking side and from a historical side. It tells a really important and dark story set in the 60s. Number 4 is Emilia Perez. Yes, this is the one that I know will get some people angrily commenting because they didn't enjoy it as much as I did. I don't care. I loved it. I went and saw it at TIFF, and I still think back at it. I love the songs. I am really, really rooting for Zoe Saldana to win Best Supporting Actress. I really hope this video ages well, and if you're watching this back in March, I hope she's won. Yeah, terrific cast. I think the direction, the way the film looks and sounds, the music is all really stunning. It's a very one-of-a-kind movie. I understand that the fusion of genres or the premise or the approach might have put some people off right away, but I loved the story, I loved the acting, I loved the melodrama, the musical numbers, and it also made me want to see some more of Jacques Audiard's other films. And let me just say, he does not make the same movie twice. All of his films are very different from a genre and setting and even a cultural point of view. Number 3 is Anora, a movie that I think already is going to go down as one of the best films of the 2020s. It's got such a unique way of not just production of like the way that they filmed some of these scenes, but of telling its story, of conveying its themes. That's resonated with me for months since I saw it. And Mikey Madison is so amazing in this film, but also all the side characters, even if they're working against Annie's goals, you get to understand them even if you're rooting against them. What a great ensemble cast. Sean Baker's best movie by far, in my opinion. Number 2 is Dune Part 2. Watching this movie opening night is an experience that I'll always treasure. What a cast, what a turn of events in Paul's dark and breathtaking arc. What a look. The sandworm scene, the battles, what a script, what a story. One of my favorite sequels of all time and one of my favorite action movies of all time. And number 1 for me is The Brutalist, a movie that I also think will have an immense legacy, not just for the 2020s, but even for films of the century. I love Brady Corbet's grand approach, which was honestly done with such a small budget. And I think I don't know what he's going to do next, but this is already his masterpiece. Adrian Brody giving such a commanding performance. Felicity Jones also so heartbreaking. And Guy Pearce giving such a big and great performance. The runtime for me is definitely earned. The scale, the impact that it had for me on a thematic and personal level. I'm honestly really looking forward to rewatching it, even though it's such a long and big drama that tackles so many, so many different eras, and is at times slow, but for me just hits all the notes that it was going for, and a movie that I will never forget for the rest of my life. Thank you, Chad, for letting me join you and rank a great year for the Oscars. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen and who's going to take the big trophy home. I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say about these 10 films. But till then, back to you, Chad.
All right, once again, thank you very much for being on my channel. Guys, show him some love on his channel. Be sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. Be sure to follow him on Letterboxd and, of course, Instagram. So, once again, I appreciate you being on this channel. And, yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty top 5 of mine. So, my number 5, we have Nickel Boys. I saw this a couple days ago, and all I knew going into it was that 95% of the film was first-person point of view. And I was kind of worried about that for a little bit because I was like, wait a minute, that's going to be something that it's ambitious for sure, but how is it going to sustain my interest for 140 minutes? And the answer is just give a film a chance, because at the end of the day, it was, I would say the first 10-15 minutes, it took me a little bit to adjust my expectations. But once I did that, I was all in. I thought this was a really good film. I think that it's quite saddening, but at the same time, it's so effective at what it's trying to garner emotionally. And I think it's very well acted. I love the score. Already mentioned, I love the cinematography, the use of color, the usage of the camera angles and the movement, I think is also very purposeful. And it's also just a film that while I was watching it, I could tell that this wasn't a one and done type film. This is the type of film that I need to rewatch several times. And honestly, I could see my rating going up even higher, because watching it, I got Moonlight and The Tree of Life vibes. And those are two films that when I first saw both, I wasn't a huge fan of those. But now they're both in my top 25 of all time. Now, am I saying Nickel Boys could make it in my top 25 of all time? I don't know. Only time will tell. But what I'll say for now is that it's a really good film that I think everyone should see, especially since it is based on history. So please do check out Nickel Boys. It is a really good film. It doesn't seem to get enough discussion. It did get 2 Oscar nominations, picture, of course, and screenplay. But yeah, this is a really good film that is well worth your time. And that's why I have it as my number 5. Next up, my number 4, we have the film that everyone was complaining that it didn't get Best Director nomination at the Oscars, and that is my number 4, Dune Part 2. Look, I loved Dune Part 2. I thought it was a really, really good blockbuster, a spectacle to behold with some visual effects, production design, makeup to die for, and Hans Zimmer's score is really, really good. It's also very well acted. I do have some issues with this film, but overall, I think it's a really, really good film that I've seen, I believe, at this point, 4 times. So yeah, I really like this film. It's 166 minutes, but you never really feel the length. I do have to say this though, some of my issues, the dialogue I'm not the biggest fan of, but everything else I think makes up for it. And yeah, Dune Part 2, it's a really, really good sequel. And yeah, that's why I have it as my number 4. Next up, my number 3, this is a film that I saw twice in theaters, and that is Conclave. Politics, religion, mystery, yeah, blend all those together and you got Conclave. Conclave's so engaging, man. It's a PG film that is geared towards adults, and it's just so effective at what it sets out to do. And honestly, the acting is great too. Ralph Fiennes is fantastic. I love the dialogue, the writing. It looks really good too, and I love the score too. So there's just a lot to appreciate about this film, and also has a twist that is quite thought-provoking. So it's a film that I could see possibly getting, the win for Best Picture. If it did, honestly, I would be happy, because I do think that this is a great film that, it started some discourse when it first came out, but I don't really hear too many people talking about anymore, which is a shame because it is really, really good. But yeah, I love Conclave, and I look forward to picking up on 4K pretty soon. But Conclave is my number 3. Next up, my number 2, we have The Brutalist, a film that is 3 hours and I believe 35 minutes long. Yeah, and guess what? I saw it 3 times in theaters. I love The Brutalist. I think The Brutalist is fantastic. It's one of those films that got better each viewing. By the third viewing, I was like, yep, this is a masterpiece. Really fantastic from a filmmaking perspective, acting perspective. I just think it's a very, very well put together film, and thematically it's quite rich. And it's just a film that we don't get too often. I mean, how often do you get a film that has an overture, an epilogue, and of course an intermission? Not often. So very happy this film exists. We'll be curious to see if it gets a Best Picture win. Honestly, if it did, I would be ecstatic because it's such a great film. But I think the length might throw some people off, and some people might not throw their support for this film in the Academy in regards to a win. But we'll see. But if it wins, fingers crossed, I would be very happy. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. I'd be very, very, very happy about my number 2 winning. But why would I have the same thing with my number 1? And that's because my number 1 is a film that I don't think has a snowball chance in hell at winning Best Picture, but if it did, I would lose my mind the same way that Eagles fans did probably with the Super Bowl just now. But my number 1, we have The Substance. I love this film. I think I've seen it 4 times now, or no, 5 times, I believe. Yes, I've seen it 5 times. I love The Substance. If you were to tell me, hey, you want to watch this film tomorrow? I'd watch it again. The Substance is great. It's a body horror film. It's a social commentary. It's a satire. It's a drama. It's comedy, dark, very dark comedy, but it just works so well, man. It's very well acted. Margaret Qualley, Demi Moore, fantastic. Love Dennis Quaid's performance as well. He is so comedic in this film, and the makeup, the cinematography, the last 20 minutes cement itself as one of the best body horror films of all time. It's just a film that has something for everyone, and I do think it's a very, very smart film that gets better with each viewing. And again, it's a film that I at first, when I saw it in theaters, I was like, I don't think it's going to get a Best Picture nomination, but if it did, I'd be ecstatic. And then it gained more and more momentum, and here we are. It got a Best Picture nomination. I'm so happy. This was not only my favorite of the 2024 Academy Award Best Picture nominees, this was my favorite film of the year. I love The Substance, and that's why I was my number 1. But yeah, guys, that's my 2024 Academy Award Best Picture nominees ranking video. Let me know your ranking in the comment section down below. I'm very curious to see what you have as your number 1. But let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you haven't done so already, be sure to follow me on Patreon, Letterboxd, YouTube, subscription, and I will catch you guys later.